Welcome to the Fowler Effect. My name is Mike Fowler, and if you follow me on social media, you noticed yesterday I posted a story about an event in 2007 where I sold my car to someone, and they didn't follow through on their end of the deal. Well, that further brought up the question: is there a universal moral code? Because I feel like you should feel bad about that. Do you feel bad about that? Do we all feel bad about the same things? Are those things that we're taught? Is it, ingrained in our DNA? Is it, taught through religion? Do we all share the same things? Objective, subjective. I feel like everyone has their lines on some of these morals. But I'll start with my story that I shared, and I go in a little bit more detail. So it started in 2006. I was teaching in San Diego, and while I was teaching the classes there, I had a family join. Three kids, mainly two, but the third one was pretty consistent as well when he could make it. But that family was just amazing. They were awesome. They were always there. I was living in San Diego, not by myself, but I was living with Brandon Vera. But as much as he would travel for the UFC, I would just kind of be in San Diego by myself, which I really didn't mind. But that mom of the family, she did not like that. So she would have me over on holidays. You don't need to wake up alone on Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever holiday I might have been around for. They were awesome. We went to Disneyland together. We had really like, she was a jujitsu mom, as even, as her title within the gym. And, so there was a great bond just further than the jujitsu one. But, now I'm, in with your family. I know, the kids, just that I say that, we've gone a step further. And me in my young 20s, that's not, I'm a nice guy. I was, even not saying naive, by even though I was, but just, I put a lot of trust in this person. And then it came time where the job in San Diego was no longer what I was going to do. And I ended up starting to move to Guam. And rather than bring the car, I was going to just sell it back to the dealership. So I took it to the dealer, and I wanted 10. They said they'd give 7. And so I said, well, let me think about it. And so, as just chit-chatting with, as the day went on later, I was explaining to her, I was like, the dealership wanted, they wanted 7. I was like, I want to try to get 10. And she said, well, if, I'll give you 10. She's like, I don't have it all at once. She's like, I can make payments to you, but I'll give you 10. And, that way you get what you want for the car. And they were in need of a vehicle. And so I was like, oh, that's perfect. Solves everything. And I'm just super naive and trusting. Signed the car over to her right before I left. And, didn't have a thought in the world that, that would kind of be almost the end of it right there. She did follow through with the payments in the beginning. It'd be little, like $100 here, $50 there. But she kept up with them. And I would say they amassed to close to 2,200, 23 out of the agreed 10. And then once it, I'd say the months it took to get to that would be the end. And then it wasn't until sometime later that I wrote a little bit of a harsh message just because I felt some kind of way. And this is years later, by the way, at least 10. And I would say almost 10, if not a little more. I feel like I haven't bugged you about the money you owe me. If anything, I've bugged you once every 5 years, if it works out that way. But I feel like I've been pretty lenient with just, that deal that, we made. And they, again, apologized and started and tried to make payments again. They made like 2 or 3 of $50. And then after those 2 or 3 payments, they stopped again. And that brings us now like 6 years later. So it's been 16 years since this whole, everything went down. And while it's not making or breaking me, but it, there's, also again, for those of you following me know that my dog Sugar, we just got her surgery on her left knee. I didn't know dogs needed ACL replacements, but she got one. And then she needed a second one. The vet told us that the second knee would probably go out, but those surgeries are expensive. That's like $8,000. And, just comparing at the, in that moment when, she popped up on my feed, it's like, the money you still owe me could take care of my little girl right now, my little puppy. And not that that's where that money would come from, not that, but you know what I mean. Just the number itself, just the thought of what happened, and it's like, like you've you duped me. You stole my car, pretty much. You know what I mean. You, whatever excuses were told or whatever, in my mind, you stole it. You did not, whether it was written down or not. Like, and so my thought was, when I see a picture of them, I do my best to have the best thoughts and think of the best moments. But all I do in the end is really just drag back like damn, y'all duped me. And I've never gotten an apology, not from a single person. You know what I mean? So it's like, was I something, did the relationship mean something as far as, when it was in the moment and then out of sight, out of mind? And so for me, it's like, if I feel that kind of way every time I see your picture, do you feel guilt every time you see my picture? Are you like, is it like, damn, we fucked him over? Or is it like, oh, gotcha. So it's, I was curious, and that was where the post came from. I wanted to find out, your opinion. Like, what do you think? Like, have you ever been in that situation where you would feel that way? I know for me, when I owe someone money, I don't feel right until I get it paid off. Like, if I'm in debt to someone by some manner, if it's like, I'm like compelled to get that sorted before my life can get back to normal almost. And so, but that's just me. I don't know if, again, if everyone else feels that way. And so, talking about a universal moral code, I first heard about it when I asked my dad about some books to read. He can always give you some, or at least for me, he was always a good person to go to whenever I had if a certain question, he could point me in the direction with, either some solid answers or at least here's a good place to look. And he recommended I read a book called Christian Mythology by C.L. Lewis. You know him from the Narnia books. And those of you who know those books or have seen the movie or anything know that there's a direct correlation between the Jesus and the Bible story and the Chronicles of Narnia, and that especially with the lion dying and or being sacrificed and then coming back. And so in that book, C.L. Lewis at the time he's an atheist, and he was. But it didn't sit well with him. He wanted to find out, just is there something else? And he felt, because you'd have to read the book, and I'd have to definitely go back through it to get more detail. But basically, he had felt that what you see in the world, it can't be just no reason for it. Like, it can't just be this beautiful without an artist behind it, in essence. And he went through some of the different religions. I think he had boiled it down to like dualism at one point, but dualism he didn't quite agree with, because in essence, the feeling that people are looking for, like, let's say you're looking for joy or happiness or like I feel good in the moment. Well, person A goes and helps someone and they feel that good feeling because they went and did the right thing by helping someone. Person B goes and does something heinous or horrible and, tortures an animal, something to get that good feeling, but not the way, don't go about it that way. And so since the feeling was ultimately good, or the desired result was ultimately in essence, a positive emotion, it was just the route that could be taken. He didn't believe dualism necessarily worked out because it was still more in the favor of good, I guess. At least that's how I'd interpret it from when I'd read it. But then he also, and then again, I'd have to read further in to figure out how he landed on Christianity. But the discussion, again, was just back to universal moral code. Is this something that we're born with? Like, for example, the one we're just talking about. Like, I feel everyone across the world, if you see something that's not yours, like you see your neighbor, and as soon as they bail, you go and take something, or you steal, whether you feel bad or not, it's irrelevant. You did something wrong. You made the choice to do something that you knew was wrong, and whether you're willing to justify it, like, oh well, they have two of them, or whatever the reason is, you still did it. And so I feel like there is a universal moral code to a degree. I feel like the other morals get imposed upon, like society, family. Like, my dad was big on, you don't answer someone with a huh or a what. I don't think that's really a moral, but that's just something that I'm, in essence, was trained and like taught that was not you just don't speak to people that way. And so when someone answers huh or what, I don't take offense to it, but it's like, it's just you're doing something different that I don't necessarily agree with. Wearing hats at dinner tables, I feel like that's pretty offensive, and especially depending on the restaurant, it gets even worse. And so I feel like we're all taught a set of rules or manners and morals, and there's some I feel that we're ingrained with. And that was really the discussion. And so I'm more than open to hear your thoughts if you'd like to comment. Even something we can make a second discussion about. But thank you so much for taking the time to listen. This is Mike Fowler, and I'll see you next time.